back on the range. The Cloud Cowboys right again. Waylon, Kelley, Hunter, Austin. Together we are the Cloud Cowboys. We are getting so much positive feedback, much appreciated. You guys watching these things, super cool to see. We've become quite popular in the Wild West. When we walk in our saloons, everyone buys us drinks. It's phenomenal, so thank you very much for the support. We're gonna jump right into it today. We're gonna start with, we're gonna do 3 questions again like we did last time. That way we've got time to get into these. Feel free to, we don't need softballs, right? You can give us some tough ones. We're gonna spend some time going through these. We want to be able to give you guys some knowledge and get kind of a deeper level on some of these things. So we're gonna start with this. This first one comes from Chris. Thank you, Chris. Chris says, I have a lot of duplication in my CRM. First time you ever heard that?
Nope.
What are some strategies to fix the duplication issues?
Yeah, it's a great question. So first thing I always do is like, why do you have duplicates? That's where you first start. And how bad is it? That's always what we do. And if you have Unlimited Edition with Salesforce, you can actually run jobs specifically on the objects and see this information. You can create rules and then run those jobs and then see all the, like how many dupes you actually have. So first thing we do is we start with, why do I have duplicates? Could be one of 2 things. Where I started my career at Jason's Deli, we were integrating thousands of records every single week from their CRM system. So that's why, it was clear why we had duplicates. That CRM system had 200 different servers and all of that data was coming in to Salesforce at once. So we had to come up with a duplication strategy. There's 2 reasons you have dupes. One, it's just ongoing and your users aren't, they're not really checking for duplicates. You haven't turned any dupe rules on. So you have duplicates just from the user base. The other one is you have an integration that's creating these duplicates. And it kind of depends what that is will change how you attack
strategy.
Yeah. If it's just a one-time cleanup, say you look at it, you're like, oh, it's just our users. We don't have this ongoing for a one-time cleanup. What I always do is figure out if I can do this manually or not. Say I have 200 duplicates. Sure, I can manually clean all that up. Then I put rules in place to stop those duplicates from coming in,
sure,
using the standard duplicate rules. And if you need to get really more intense, you can go into apps for that to get better deduplication rules put in place.
And maybe some training too on
100%.
Top of that, right? Yeah.
Training with the dupe rules, and you usually clean it up and you can do it manually. If you can't do it manually, then...
And we say that's the easier problem to fix, probably,
oh, of course,
right? Yeah,
always.
If it's been user error, that's the easier
always
problem to fix.
Problem.
You can put a one-time strategy
Correct.
in and good to go. Now, the latter is going to be
the latter takes more time, but there's tools out there for it. I always go with demand tools. That's my bread and butter tool for cleaning up duplicates. It has all the features you need. So what I would do if it was going to be, if I need to use a system to clean this up, I would use demand tools, purchase that product, and then with demand tools, you can create jobs and you can go either manually clean up the dupes or you can clean up the dupes with automated rules. It's a really cool tool. So that's what I would do for a one-time cleanup. I would set that up. Now, if it's ongoing, well, here's what we did when it was ongoing. You get demand tools. With demand tools, you set up jobs that run every single week. So say we were integrating 10,000 records a week, we would run 3 or 4 jobs that we know we could automate, and it would automatically dedupe those records into the new records coming in. And you try to do that on the weekends so that by the time everyone gets there Monday, all the records are cleaned up. Then, along with that, you would run a person would go through and clean up the things that you couldn't automatically, dedupe. Things that, I need to check and see if is this the actual person. You can do all that with demand tools. So that's the way I would attack duplication.
Yeah, duplication, not a small issue, right?
Nope.
As soon as the data's bad, we've got reporting is bad, like everything is bad, right? And you're not alone, Chris is not alone with duplication issues,
That's
right? And there's a lot of things in the Salesforce ecosystem that us, being a consulting firm, right, we would build or do on our own without tools. But there are certain things where we say, hey, it's a big enough problem, someone else has figured this out, the tools are worth it and they're done well. Demand tools, if you want to sponsor Cloud Cowboys, you're more than welcome to. We use new horses, a lot of new things. Shout out to Demand Tools, some free advertising there. But there are some of those things. Duplication is one of them. Demand Tool is a great option. There's others out there as well, but well worth looking into. Duplication, not necessarily something that you want to try to solve on your own, but figure out what's causing it first.
That's right.
Because that tells you how much you might need to invest to solve the problem ongoing.
And in the next question you're going to talk about, we'll get into in Unlimited Edition. There's a special tool that you can use that you don't get. So
that's called a segue. We're going to do that now. Sherry has the next question. Sherry said, you mentioned on the last video that you all had customers upgrading to Unlimited Edition. What benefits are people taking advantage of other than the AI features? So if you're one of the very few people that missed the last episode, not very many, very few people, we talked about what's coming with Sales Cloud GPT, Service Cloud GPT, what's already here. Those features you can take advantage of if you're on Unlimited Edition of Salesforce. And so that's what the question is referencing. So I want to talk about a few more of those features because Sherry's right. We did mention that and it's true. I think we did 4 or 5 this week with customers upgrading to Unlimited Edition.
Yep.
So there's some inherent features right off the bat that people are taking advantage of. One is the full copy sandbox, right?
Yeah, that's what we did.
Full copy sandbox is included. The full copy sandbox, if you're on an enterprise edition, isn't the most affordable thing in the world, but super helpful. So you upgrade to unlimited and it comes with it. The other is Premier Support. Again, Premier Support, another one of those items that if you're on enterprise or professional, not super inexpensive, but comes with it for unlimited. Both of those options, the sandbox and Premier Support, the way that they are billed is based on a percentage of your overall spend with Salesforce, so those prices can increase too. It's well worth looking into unlimited and just getting those right off the bat, and then you don't have to worry about what that cost going up or anything like that.
Right.
So let me give you some of the other features. Tech stack consolidation is hot right now, right? After COVID, everyone bought a bunch of stuff. You know, you go look at your tech stack, you do an audit, you've got 20 different tools. So tech stack consolidation is important for a couple of reasons. One, CFOs and finance people are looking at like, why are we spending all this money, right? Can we do it with less tools? But the other, let me give you something to think about, is just the efficiency. Right? Like sales teams nowadays have so many tools that they're swivel chairing back and forth with. They don't know what this one does or that one does. Right. Training and onboarding, you've got to do all of this work, right? And the next thing you know, your salespeople are spending 50% of their time in front of different apps because they've got to go do things in all these different places, right? So, 2 big features of Unlimited Edition that are helping with that. One is sales engagement. A sales engagement is going to be your competitor for like a Sales Loft or an Outreach, right? Formerly High Velocity Sales with Salesforce, now Sales Engagement. It's come a long way. There's been some really cool improvements over the last 2 years. It's integrating now with a lot of different phone systems that are out there, and being able to build those cadences all within Salesforce, right? Opposed to doing your cadences in a separate app, then going into Salesforce to work your lead or to work your opportunity, however you have those cadences set up. Big advantage to have it all on the Salesforce platform. Comes free with Unlimited Edition licenses. The next one is Einstein Conversation Insights. Talked a little bit about that with the GPT features where you're going to get those automated call summaries. But in general, what ECI or Einstein Conversation Insights does, that's your call recording, call coaching, listening, right? Competitor to like a Gong and tools like that, right? Chorus, those types of tools. So another one comes free with Unlimited Edition. A lot of connectors are coming out right now. Zoom, it works with Service Cloud Voice. Google Meet is about to come out as well. A lot of other telephony providers. So you take tools like those two and you take advantage of those with Unlimited Edition. Next thing you know, your sales team is in one single platform for a lot of what they need to do on a regular basis, and you're saving on spend as well. So those are some of the hot features right now. There's also some really cool stuff like pipeline inspection, Einstein forecasting. You're taking advantage, again, some more of that AI, machine learning type forecasting stuff, opportunity scoring, that type of thing. So well worth looking into, especially as we're going into Q4 of Salesforce. Now's the time to look at potentially upgrading to Unlimited Edition.
There is one De-dupe feature in there as well.
And I'll let you speak to that.
There you go. So what you can do, you can't do this in enterprise. You can't go in and say, I want to run a duplicate report on my accounts with these 3 or 4 fields as the duplicate check. You can do that with Unlimited Edition. They let you set up a rule, and then that rule you can run, and then you can report on that. It'll tell you, all right, you have this, these are the duplicates that hit for this particular rule. Then you can take that data and go merged down. That lets you build your strategy knowing how many people that you actually have. So I always like that when we have unlimited clients. It's very helpful.
Very cool. All right, let's hit the last one. Last one comes from Brad. Brad had a question on what's the difference between dynamic forms and some of these other dynamic page layout features, dynamic buttons, dynamic related lists, and just standard page layouts that we've used for years and years and years, right? Should I go take advantage of these upgrades? What are the benefits? What should I be doing with that?
Yeah, it's a great question. We're telling all our consultants you shouldn't be using page layouts anymore. I mean, you have to have page layouts, but page layouts are going away and they're not as helpful, honestly. So all these things you just mentioned, dynamic forms, dynamic lists, related lists, dynamic buttons, it's all made to replace page layouts. And here's why. So with dynamic forms, you can do specific visibility of fields. So you can say, all right, when someone selects customer type, partner, then these 3 fields show up and now they're required, okay? How could you do that before? You could only do that before with record types.
Yep.
Right? So now with dynamic forms, it is also reducing the need for record types. Now the only reason I think you need record types is for pick list values. Like if you have different pick list values, you have to use record types. Otherwise, we're using dynamic forms and fields to do this.
And give me a percentage, like how many less clicks or how much effort is it to customize the dynamic form opposed to having multiple record types that you then have to go click into each one. And
yeah, it's a big difference. It's a massive, and it's technical debt, right?
Yep.
So now you have these 3 or 4 record types, you have 3 or 4 page layouts for those record types.
Sure.
You got to maintain and manage all that. And that's a big pain. Plus it's more clicks on your user. So now when your user goes to click a new record, they have to pick the record type.
Yep.
So it's reducing clicks on both sides of the house. It's an awesome feature. The only other thing about dynamic forms that is helpful is it has required when you show hide, so you can show it and hide it, and it's required. And then there's one more feature I'm trying to think of.
Required fields or? We can come back to it if we need to.
You can put it in multiple sections.
Okay.
So you can have fields that are in multiple sections on the page. You can have 3 or 4 tabs with 3 or 4 different sections of fields. So you can break your fields out through the page. So that's a very helpful feature.
Awesome. What else on dynamic? Let's talk a little bit about dynamic buttons and the dynamic related list. What's the difference there? Should people be upgrading to that?
Yeah, I would upgrade. And here's the biggest difference. It's the visibility features, right? You can show and hide buttons based on other things that are happening in the record. That's the biggest thing. So let's talk about dynamic related lists. Dynamic related lists allow you to also filter the records that are shown on the screen, which is a huge thing. So now, for example, say you're on the account page and you want to show open opportunities versus closed opportunities. All you have to do is use a dynamic related list, put your fields, and say, all right, I only want this to show for open ops, and then the second one you do for closed ops. To me, that's the biggest benefit for dynamic related lists. Super helpful. For dynamic buttons, very similar features. With dynamic buttons, you can also do show hide. So say, for example, I wanted only admins to see a special flow on the account that lets them do special things. I can set that button there. I can say only for admin, profile equals admins, and only the admins will see that. Before, what did you have to do? More page layouts.
Yep.
Admin page layout, sales rep page layout. Now you can do all of this built into the page. It's very, very powerful.
User experience, user interface matters. It matters for adoption, it matters for speed, it matters for efficiency, right? Often our first question, someone comes to us, hey, we're not getting value out of Salesforce, it's clunky, people don't want to use it. Let's go look at your UX UI, you've probably got a problem there. Spend some time on that, dynamic fields, or dynamic forms, buttons, related lists, it all matters, it helps, I promise it does, spend the time. We will ride again soon, much appreciated for tuning in. Cloud Cowboys, signing off.
See you later.